You know that old thing, it's a 1976, had the big ropes.
I don't think
Had
that's
the
cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
There was even propane tank for it, kind of.
Really?
I had one of those Blackstone reserves, and I took it, but we couldn't get it on it. Hot stove. I turned the propane on. It worked, you know.
Is it the original propane tanks?
I think so. I'm gonna have to get new ones.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because you won't be able to refill them.
Yeah. No,
They'll
they
force
have
you to get
new
ones.
ones the same size down at the station.
So.
I guess we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's all about this COVID-19 emergency relief fund that over at the Cheyenne County's getting, and trying to apply for different ways. These here are some of the things that Cheyenne or Bird City area, not Cheyenne, Bird City area is going to try to, similar to this or whatever they're going to do for sure. Lila probably knows more about it than I do, and Kelly Milliken's coming after a while to explain some of it to us too, to see what we might want to do.
There's a pot of money that the county has. It's 500 and some thousand, and then the various the reimbursement part's been done when that's where we submitted our expenses for reimbursement, and the remaining funds is significant. The majority of the funds didn't get spent during that part. And so all of the stakeholders now are supposed to, if they want to, come up with plans to of ways to utilize the funds for their entities, for our community, and then we have to create a plan and submit it back to the county by Friday. And then the county takes all of the plans that are submitted and decides which ones are going to get funded. Everything is on such a really short timeline, but this, I didn't even know that part of this existed. There's been so many meetings, and it just went past me. I didn't realize that this was until yesterday's meeting, and Diane Burns, she's a council member in Bird City, was talking about what Bird City was doing, and this is what they're proposing to do. These are drafts, but this is the direction that they are going. And I talked to her today, and they're still trying to finalize plans, but this is what they felt like they could do to utilize some funds to help their citizens. And after hearing that, I thought certainly the council probably wants to discuss ways that you guys as an entity can help your citizens. So Kelly's going to come and talk more about funding options, you know, what's allowed, what's not allowed, maybe some ideas that you can consider. We are going to have somebody that's going to want to maybe take the bull by the horns and run with it. I know David said he did some research today. Maybe you're interested in doing that. It's going to take some work, but yeah. Well, Kelly said she'd be here shortly. I asked her to come because I didn't feel qualified to try to explain. I didn't have enough understanding of it. So.
The $526,000 for Cheyenne County, is there a certain amount allocated for Bird City specifically, a certain amount allocated for St. Francis, or is it just all the Cheyenne County period?
It's a pot. It was by population. They got $100 and some per person in the county, but it's just a pot, and then it really depends on what entities apply for, like the school. If they applied for funding for masks for their students or things like that, they will look at everything that's being asked, and then they will decide. There's a task force that will decide how to divide it up. The task force is Kelly, Scott, Ryan Murray, and I always forget the fourth one. Scott Heltman. Scott Heltman.
Yeah.
Is Leslie on that?
And Leslie Bynes, yes. Mm-hmm. And these meetings, like the one we had yesterday, that you all are welcome to come and listen in on. They're just Zoom meetings, but the different entities were asked yesterday to share some of the things, the thoughts that they were thinking about doing. And honestly, when I heard this one, I was kind of like focused on that, so I'm not sure what else is being looked at out there. But I know the school's seeking funding for something, but I don't remember what. Might have been thermometers, the no-touch thermometers and things like that that are required.
On the hand washing stations that we talked about,
Mhm.
they're required to hand wash and sanitize more often than they need.
Yeah, they were talking about remote hand wash stations. I know the Shiloh superintendent was in the meeting and was talking about some things at their school district. But it has to be like, for us, I called Scott because I wondered if we could expand our coverage of people that we could help to the school district area, but he said it has to be entity specific. So we would have to keep whatever we do applicable to our citizens in St. Francis.
Do you want me to, I made some notes, you want me to share some things that other
Sure.
people are doing? real
Yeah.
quick? So under the heading of health, other people are using it for reimbursement for already incurred health costs such as protective equipment, testing supplies, EMS, etc. Under connectivity, it could involve such things like reimbursement for already incurred connectivity costs such as laptops, telemedicine equipment, telehealth technology investments, digital infrastructure investments, broadband investments, and then economic development programs to care for homeless populations, food distributions and inventory, senior centers and health expenses with that, evictions and rental assistance, child care and early childhood development investment for single workers and single parents. And then under education, they have reimbursements for already incurred education costs such as tech for distance learning, training for teachers, meals, etc. So I mean,
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
Sorry to be a little unofficial.
You've been
tonight.
swimming.
Are there individuals in town that have actually been affected? Has anybody heard of anybody that's actually been affected? Has lost a job or anything?
well, no, we just had another positive case this week. from What I
Well, there's the salons that were forced to shut down. So
That's true.
Yeah.
So I'll just say the businesses can be this
Playhouse.
other grant that we got.
Yeah,
That's
that'll be
right.
that other grant on
Yeah,
that
it's
part.
Yeah.
Okay.
um,
And that's the other thing, I'm having a hard time keeping up with all the different grants. It's like picking one out of the fire hydrant right now.
And this could be used for businesses as well. But the other grant we got cannot be used for anything for citizen-specific stuff.
All right, then.
Give us a-
They are scared.
You
Yeah.
can.
No, I'm sopping wet, like just got out. All right, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
you're
go
ready
ahead,
for
go
me,
ahead.
huh?
Explain
Wow, nothing like a warm welcome. So, as I'm assuming that you all know, that the county received $526,000, some odd dollars. I have that stuff at home and haven't been there. That can be dispersed. We've established a task force, which includes myself, Ryan Murray, Leslie O'Brien, and Scott Houtman. And then we have stakeholders, which include the cities, counties, the cities, the county, hospital, the village, nursing home, assisted living up there, schools,
Housing authority.
housing authorities.
Is the food pantry one?
The food pantry is, per se, is not in the stakeholder group. The food pantry is something that has been discussed. But you all, and I think I sent them all to your city of St. Francis emails. So If you would like to receive them at a different email, please feel free to let me know, and we meet on Mondays via Zoom at 3:30, and just discuss what is available. There's a reimbursement piece that Lila has submitted some reimbursement amounts for that were things that I can't remember specifically. I just have my sheet of
Well,
like
for
around.
Zoom and stuff, it was about $1,000.
Yeah. And then there's a direct aid portion that can be that you can receive, I guess. What happens is everybody submits what they would like to, whatever you would like to see, get, have done. It does have to be COVID related, but it can be things like, anyway, so the forms will be, there's an application process. The forms are submitted. The task force then will look through all of those to determine where we are, try to split it up, and it may be a situation at this point, just about everything that's been submitted, we could say yes to because we haven't gotten to our $526,000 yet. The catch with it is it does have to be used by December 30th. It does also, if it is not used, it has to be paid back. It is part of the $4 million that was given to the state via the federal government. Yes.
If it's not used and it needs to be returned, is there interest on it?
No.
Okay.
That is my understanding. I'll double check for you, Lauren, but that is my understanding is no.
Okay.
And it couldn't be placed in an interest-bearing account also. But we meet tomorrow, so I will double check and let you know. Okay? So some of the things that have been suggested by other entities are like thermal. There's a webinar, and I believe you all should have received that also, a webinar tomorrow about thermal scanning, like to check temperatures and things like that. The schools have been interested in something like that. County Health has looked into, we have discussed portable hand sanitizing stations that could be centrally located and then dispersed by different groups. Or EMS has purchased a fogger that they are, and I don't know the specifics of it, but it can be utilized by, their intent in purchasing it was so that other businesses, entities could use the fogger if they needed to do like a mass disinfectant or something like that. There are things that you could do, like request X amount of dollars. For example, one of the things Bird City put on their application was for $30,000 to help cover in the event anyone dies from COVID, to help cover funeral expenses. Because, as we know, if you have a sudden death, it can be quite expensive if you want to die, and not want to be buried. Sorry, if you want to die, but to have the funeral, burial, whatever the expenses, that can run minimally $10,000 if it's, and to just come up with that quickly for some is not an easy task. So that is one thing that they've talked about. There have been things like, you could even do things like in this room, remove the carpet, because the carpet is a thing that is a carrier of, or holder of the virus. So it's not the virus specifically, but things like that can be done. Other places have talked about doing like motion sensor paper towel, just like upgrading bathrooms and using touchless toilets, hand sinks, things that you're not touching, automatic doors, things like that, because those would be things that would qualify. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Okay. So some things that I visited with Lila a little bit this morning, and some things that, and then I visited, we have hired Kathy Dodge to help us through this process, and I visited with her as well, and a few of the things that I came up with are if you wanted to do some sort of fund for utility relief, or you wanted to do like telework / telehealth, some sort of thing like that, the infrastructure. And I realize we have the fiber, so we have, you know, I'm not super savvy at that. I just know I need internet and I need it to work when I need it to work. But if there are things like the mental health has been a big thing that has been talked about. So if you, I don't know what's being done like with the police department, but if that would be a viable space that maybe could be utilized for, I don't know, workstations or for telework, or perhaps converted into some sort of, I don't know, area that people could meet with a doctor if they needed to via, I don't know if Zoom is the right word, but via web. Just trying to, I think the big thing is trying to think outside of the box, because one of the things that we recognize, as in the task force recognizes, we haven't been hit with a lot of issues like some other places have. But if there
we
are
may.
things, right, we may.
We don't know.
We don't know. No one knows. And if there are things that can be done or put into place, even like, I mean, I guess this sounds kind of cheesy, but even like to upgrade like maybe the restrooms at the park, so that they are, you know, that's a thing that we can use forever if you wanted to do, but it would be COVID related. Does that make sense? So, because we don't know. I mean, right now, we're not widely affected, but we may be, and we just, no one knows. A couple other things that I thought about were like maybe the housing authority, if they, I don't know, that I haven't been in that community room for a long time, but maybe to like rip out, last time I was in it, it had carpet still, so if it maybe put in a hard floor, or upgrade the bathrooms, or the sink that's in that little kitchenette area. Or if you just want to set aside some funds that were similar to the CDBG, I can't remember if it's D or D, but that you could set aside, I don't know, $30,000, and other like businesses or groups, nonprofit groups or something like that could come to you and say, hey, you know, we weren't able to fundraise this year because of COVID. So we would like to apply for a grant of, I don't know, what you guys would just set the amount. What else did we? Oh, and I just got a thing that like Meals on Wheels is not being done any longer. So, you know, maybe that's something that, a program that could be started, or it would be a thing that.
Did it quit just because of this?
I don't know. I just found out that it wasn't, and we weren't in a, I wasn't in a spot that I could visit
Huh.
about it.
Steve Wood was doing it. I thought.
And maybe you still, I honestly don't know, Larry. I just had somebody tell me that Meals on Wheels was not being done anymore. So, and that could be misinformation.
Yeah.
So,
I have a question.
Yes.
So the plan that has to be submitted on Friday, how specific does it need to be?
it does not need to be like we are giving $2,546 to. It can just be a lump sum. Or it is just kind of a generalized idea.
So if we said we would like to ask for $40,000 and these are the projects we have in mind,
Yes.
we wouldn't be tied to having to do
No.
those projects?
No.
So we can buy, like, equipment, like sanitizer equipment and stuff to put, because I sent you that email that I think they definitely should be at all the museums, and the courthouse and the city hall, and I can't remember what all I listed on there. Mainly places where we have a lot of out-of-town people coming to.
Yeah.
I don't
Because I
remember
think
the
that's very
seniors.
important, because we do have a lot of visitors. I mean, down there at the Motorcycle Museum, we're averaging 20, 30 a day. They're all people out of town. We got sanitizer in there and stuff, but it'd be nice if it was an automatic one, because if it's there, they're gonna use it a lot quicker than they're gonna pick up the bottle and squirt their hands.
Right.
So if it's an automatic one, they'll go there and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think any place that has a lot of outside people coming to it should have something set up.
Athens in the park,
Yeah.
roadside park.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't, does the city, the roadside park, or is that the
Mhm.
county?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like,
Can we totally remodel it?
well, I was just gonna say, we might be able to wing something that,
That one
could
needs
get
a lot of
little,
work.
because that one needs some work, or at
Yeah.
least it did last time I was up there.
Mhm.
And do we look out for the library and the senior center too? And
All those kind of places where they, you know, I think any place where there's a lot of people go to, visit, would be nice to be able to support.
Talking to Vance, the administrator today, he said the hospital just got grants to put UV lights in the OR and some of the rooms.
Mhm.
And he said it totally disinfects the room within 3 minutes.
Okay.
And totally disinfects the whole room.
Huh.
So I don't know if that's overkill for the Motorcycle Museum. Most people don't know what they need, but like the senior center, I don't know if that's something that could use that well after COVID's gone.
Okay.
I don't know how much it runs. You'd have to ask him.
I'll check and see about that, because I don't know that information, but I'll check that out. So we are asking that the plans be to us by Friday, because what has to happen then is we will have to put together a proposal that goes to the commissioners, that then goes to the state. It's a plan, not a proposal, it's a plan. That will then go to the state, and the state goes through it and says, and we'd like to get that to them as quickly as possible, so that we can have it back, hopefully, as quickly as possible. The thing that and I mentioned this to Lila, I believe, today, that we are, as this is progressing, the deadline is not going to change of December 30th. I mean, that everything has to be used. But they are being more fluid and flexible with, at first everything was hard and fast. August 15th, September 1st, September 15th. And now it's a thing of, well, if you haven't, if you're making progress toward that $50,000 mark that you said you would have used by October 1st, but you haven't, you still have 40 that you haven't used. We just have to, they're being flexible with that. so it doesn't all, because at first it was, if you don't use that amount, then you have to pay it back today. And now, it's a lot more flexible because, well, I think they're recognizing that they're asking a lot in a short amount of time. So,
It sounds like the PPP fiasco.
yeah, it is. It is a PPP fiasco. Anyway, so, anyway, that is the thing. And we just need, as I said, just kind of, it doesn't have to be specific. We just need a plan of, you're asking for $40,000 and this is what you're going to use. These are things that you might use it for, that you would use it for. You might, but. And I think the big thing is just to try to think outside the box because it is hard if you just sit down and think, well, we haven't really been affected. What do we even come up with for reimbursement funds? Or what do we need?
What cost? I mean, that's something
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it is.
Uh-huh.
It is.
Yeah, no, that's tax.
So.
Do you have an idea of how much has been requested so far?
At this point, we have approximately $316,000
Left.
left. We have had approximately $190,000 requested.
And that
Include
includes
the
and that
dirt
includes
trucks.
the 70,000 from Bird City.
Yes.
Have the schools already got into that?
The Cheyenne has, I have not gotten information from St. Francis yet.
Because that could be a pretty good chunk.
They have,
Are all the students going to have mass this year?
my understanding is yes. So that's even, that would be something if you wanted to provide those.
Is that gonna come back down to the county level then?
The school board is completely separate from the county. That was a school board decision,
Oh,
not a
okay.
county commissioner decision. Because the commissioners said, did not, veto the mandate, I guess. They did not make it a county mandate. But the school district is their own entity, and that decision was school board decision. Or a school, I don't know, I should say board, it was a school decision.
And that's a lot different when you're talking about your kids. But if I was on the school board, I'd say they should wear masks. Just protect kids, Us adults, we could kind of, and it's a little different, but, so. Okay, we'll
So-
try to come up with something. We will come up with something.
Okay. If you guys have questions, I'm, up the block.
You'll be in the pool.
So you can, you feel free to call me or email or whatever. I will try to answer any questions that I can.
Thanks,
Okay?
Kelly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Kelly. I don't know what, availability on those hand sanitizer stations would be. I'm pretty sure JR looked into that a little bit for us at the pool. Availability was,
Getting them. I don't know where our church got them, but our church had them Sunday.
I get a pamphlet every week for
What's
them. Every week from outreach.com. And they got these independent stations, hands-free.
Right.
Every week they're pushing that on me. And I keep telling my elders, do we want it? And we've got 4 bottles. They're like, the bottles are fine, But,
How much are they?
So you can get them easy from outreach.com. I just don't know if they're that much more expensive.
I don't
Than
know,
somewhere
I don't know
else.
how much they are, but our church had 2 of them, one by the back and one right up there
I'm
by
looking it
the
up.
pulpit and stuff. So-
You're much
and
faster
they
than I am.
was talking maybe a couple more, so I don't know where they got them.
How much were they?
Portable hand sanitizer stands, like if you're talking about a freestanding one, I don't know what from a company, but just looking on Amazon, If you're talking one with a stand,
And that's why I
that's
would,
automatic, it's 140 per station, and then you need the refill, I mean, you need to put refills in it, so you need to account for the cost of hand sanitizer also.
and that's about the same price as,
If you have one that mounts to the wall, you can get them for about $100, $90 to $100.
What's refilling cost, or how many gallons or whatever? Might as well figure that into it.
55-gallon drum.
And the FDA approved.
Those 3 gallons that we bought for
That's a
the
big
museum
thing now.
down there, that cost us $120.
Really?
Gallon
3
of-
gallons.
There's a gallon of sanitizer for $19.
Here's one that is an automatic hand sanitizing station that you can, I guess, refill with any sanitizer. It doesn't have to be brand specific. It's
Okay.
you can fill it in, and it's $190. I think the other one was that you had to buy the bottle
Right.
to refill. So this one is $190.
How many places would we want them? I mean, I thought of that the other day, that definitely where we have outside visitors coming to all these different places would be a good idea, that are stopping in
I pulled
town.
up to Kale's, and there was like 3 outfit
Yeah.
cars sitting there.
Every day there's somebody from Colorado or California or
Yeah,
something.
Washington.
Well, we could say we need one for every business.
Put them on Main Street, bolt them to the trees.
I like your idea about the roadside park in the park.
For sure.
The museums, I think we should include the pool.
And the library.
Library,
Senior center.
yeah, just-
Library, theater.
Theater, yeah, that's wrong. Just any place that we know out of town people are gonna be going to those places. We know it. And,
But all of the businesses on the front, on the highway for sure, get hit by Dollar General. I mean,
The other side of that, though, is I
Gas
have a little
stations.
bit of problem forcing people to do
Yeah.
something.
No, you can't.
Well,
do
no,
that.
is that the city's responsibility to make sure that they have, I mean, is that what this is
No.
for, or for the city to
Offer it.
maintain the city,
protection.
the city's properties and make sure that we have the proper
Yeah.
stuff in place, or are we offering it to other businesses? I mean, what is this money?
You can ask for it for whatever you
Yeah,
want.
I mean, you can
Yeah,
ask
ask
her
for it
for
for
whatever you
business.
want, and I think the other thing that, I mean, I guess I would point out to the council, it's entirely up to the council what they want to ask for, what the plan you want to implement is. But Bird City, it looks like, is focusing not just on, what can we do to improve city things to do this, but how can we have a reserve to assist our citizens who may get hit by this? Because these plans are very citizen-focused as opposed to city entity-focused. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, they still have over $300,000 of funding. So if we ask for, $5,000 for hand sanitizer things as well as additional funding, I just would point out, as you say, what are the purpose of these funds? I would draw the council's attention to, there's a lot of focus on assisting citizens if they are impacted by this, such as with the funeral assistance and the emergency relief. Because we don't know, and we may not need it. We may not get hit with a second wave, or we may get hit more. I mean, our population is small enough that if 20 people get it, that's a significant portion of our population.
Yeah, I think this one was good, the emergency relief funding thing.
yeah, I like that one too.
Uh-huh.
I'm not so big on the funeral relief, simply for the fact that I think you're running a high risk of those funds that were getting used, and you have this in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't know words on that, but from
Yeah.
experience, it's probably a higher risk that we would than not. But I do like it being citizen-focused. So,
My only concern with Bird Cities is the loss of employment or need as of March 11th. Well, how are you going to go back and say, oh, was this person employed before or needed employment, or now are we asking for funds?
I hadn't thought about that. That's a good question.
Or are they just now asking for funds because it's available?
Right.
And they weren't really seeking employment, and do we really want to be the people
Making
making
that
up?
far.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Were they unemployed or were they not employed? Were they looking for work or were they not looking for work, but now that their funds available? And not saying, I'm just throwing that out there, that,
Well, and we don't have to implement the plan as
No.
is. I mean, you can
Yeah.
make your own structure on it. I mean, it can be, you must provide proof. I mean,
Because we
There-
really
there's-
haven't been hit that, except for
Right.
that shutdown before, and there could be another shutdown,
right.
you know.
And
Okay.
even with the shutdown, I don't know that, I mean, I believe the salons were affected and the restaurants were affected. I mean,
Few businesses down.
some of the businesses downtown, but not, I don't think, a substantial number of individuals. I mean, ag industry was all deemed essential, and most of what we have falls some form or another under ag.
I would almost bet that Cheyenne bought masks for the school, or put in for a request for masks for the school.
The school.
Right.
I
But the
think that would be a wise thing
I
for us
think our
to
school
do.
is doing that too.
But I think, is it appropriate for that to come from the city, or does that need to come from the school? I mean, the school is one of the
Yeah, it'll come from the
stakeholders.
school. It has to come from the school.
And so
We
I-
can't do it for them.
No.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think we do something like this emergency relief fund too, figure out what amount we want. We've got more population over here than they do over there, so do we ask for a little bit more than that?
What's their population? 400?
Yeah, it's less than 500, I think.
Yeah, it's under,
Ours or
between
theirs?
400 and
Theirs.
500.
Yeah, we asked for 80.
Dublin,
Yeah, it's double it. We're about a little over double population, right?
probably.
this is less than 400. Three
About
times,
Almost three
yeah,
times,
if
yeah.
they were 3 times.
Maybe we asked for 100.
But I still think we need to go after the sanitizing stations for all these
Right.
city-owned properties that we know visitors are coming to, because that is still being proactive, that we're trying to protect so it doesn't happen.
What could we do as far as updating the website for that?
Now, that's going to be a little hard to kind of,
But, I don't know, how, like, if we, no-touch toilets,
Mhm.
sinks, like if we upgrade at least some of the stuff that's in there
Mhm.
through this.
Has vandalism been an issue? I mean, I guess I would
It
just
has,
caution,
yeah.
I would just
But I-
caution the city that it's my job to bring up risk analysis, and so, I mean, if we're going to be, we want it as sanitary as possible, because if people are coming in from out of town, stopping there, I mean, we want it as sanitary as possible, and we also want it as nice as possible, but I mean, we have to I advise the council to weigh the costs, and the potential risk of what's going to happen if we funnel all this money into it.
I can't say there's been vandalism in the last 5 or 10 years, but there has been years back. There was years back.
That's someone who just came all over the place.
Somebody did some painting up there, when was that?
30 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but they didn't go in and break the stools and tear off the doors and that kind of
We
stuff.
could just use sinks.
It was graffiti that they
Sinks
did.
and toilets, though, I mean, if you're, like,
Yeah, but after you use the toilet, you wash your hands. So if you do the sinks and then the paper towels or whatever you need.
Are we gonna go about the same standard of having a $75,000 a year annual income?
Oh, for people being assistance?
Do we want to go through Bird Cities prior to, I guess, going and figuring out what other funds, if everyone's on board with the emergency relief fund, do we want to go through what Bird City does and discuss what we'd like to do different?
We actually have that in place, we just need to
Yeah.
figure and a
Yeah, we
plan.
just need
So
to-
we can
Okay,
say we
let's-
want to do an emergency plan, and
Yeah.
then if we get approved, we can actually,
Okay.
don't you think? I
Yeah,
mean,
then we can narrow it down.
like, we just, according to Kelly, we just need kind of figures in a plan. So we
Yeah.
can just say, we want to do an emergency relief plan to help citizens that have been affected by COVID and lost jobs or yada, yada.
Yeah.
And
for X
maybe
amount of
give
money.
some,
And
maybe
then
give
it's-
some examples
have
of
to have any
in what
specifics
way,
that we're
like
finding, though?
utilities, just
Yeah.
a list.
Yeah, utility.
Yeah, loss
No.
of job, utilities, rent, you know, I think we can leave it
Doesn't
That
have to
vague.
be, yeah, you're
specific,
right.
yeah.
But it has to
You
be
know,
specific enough.
Emergency relief fund to help citizens of St. Francis that have lost jobs or have been affected by COVID to where we can help them with loss of wages, utilities, you know,
Yeah.
right there.
Pretty well those
The-
whole things.
Yeah, I was
We
going to
can
say the
say
whole up
100,
here.
you think?
And then we can just,
And then you'll define the eligibility criteria
if we get
if
approved.
approved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then that way we're not, I mean, we can,
And you said things can be amended down the road if it's not getting spent, right?
You should have asked Kelly that question.
Well,
My
I think
under-
that's what she told me today.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think we can have it in the back pocket if we want to. If we, God forbid, the worst case scenario happens that we have somebody unexpectedly pass away and they're needing help, we can have it in our back pocket and we can have something for that. I'm just thinking if we make it, we put in for that money now, it's probably not going to get spent, and we'll wind up losing that money or having to send it back.
Right. Especially where they've got $30,000 there.
Right.
To have it be spent by December 31st on that part of their plan, might not. We hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah. And, you know, like the school's looking out for, you know, some of the kids in the hospital, you know. I just didn't know if we need to focus too on some of the elderly, you know, like I say, the Meals on Wheels, you know. I know they're still letting people come down to eat, you know, at the senior center and stuff, but
That's your
some
highest
of them
risk.
is not going, they're not getting out either.
I
They're
just can't
scared.
imagine that happening, because Tim Bird's been delivering them.
I
And Steve
texted,
Ort's been
my husband Ryan, who used to deliver with the hospital, and he says he's not doing it, but yes, the hospital's still delivering
Okay,
meals.
good.
And so I'm not sure if that's been less, but
is it the hospital or the senior center?
well, so when Ryan used to do it, the two people from the hospital would go pick up from the senior center, run it around, and then run the insulated coolers back to the senior center before they went to the hospital.
Because I know they're supposed to be getting a new cook or something down there,
Mhm.
and they haven't started yet, so I think there's just some,
I'm sure they probably need more help doing it.
probably.
Because like always, you know, pretty soon somebody gets tired of doing it, but, I mean, Steve Orth and Tim Burr have been doing it, the last I knew, and so,
But I agree with you there, because that segment of our society, they're at the highest risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of bathrooms they have down there, you know, and they can't afford to update, or, you know.
We could put that on our plan of these items that we're going to use it for. Just, improve senior center sanitation or something.
Is a senior citizen utilized by anyone in Bird City? Does anyone from over there come over to our senior center?
not that I know of. There probably been a few over here, but they've got their own thing over there
Okay.
too. I think it's still in operation, maybe it's not.
I think so. I think they
Yeah.
once a week, or it's open
Yeah.
once a week.
So Bird City says you must be a resident of the city.
You do have to be. I did talk to Scott about that today. He said whatever, if we did something like that, we couldn't, because I thought, well, can't we use like the USD 297 and get cover the people out in the county too? But he said no. If you're going to do something like that, it has to be for your entity. So it'd be your city limits.
So someone lived outside the city limits and needed help. We couldn't help.
The county can help them. So the county could establish the same thing if they choose to.
Are they, or do we know?
I do not know. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that was my
Yeah,
thought
that
too,
is
but
weird, isn't it?
he said,
But most people who live outside of the city know that's pretty much the structure anyway, don't they?
Yeah.
Probably.
Could we kind of divide that up in two categories where this emergency relief fund is for over, you know, and I think just put a big amount up there, but it'll be used for over here to help with people that need rent, mortgage assistance and so forth, those things. And then over here lists that all the things, all the city, services or city, how we want to word that?
City departments, buildings?
The museums, all the different things that we want to try to, you know, get sanitizers and work on the bathrooms over here, up there.
I think we'd want two different, I mean, we'd want one as an one emergency relief fund, and then we'd also want to ask for
Money to
Make
update the
two
budget.
money
I
for
think we
adjustment, right, I mean, we could label, I mean, we could ask for so much of the plans, and our plan, so much of the funds, and we have, you know, 3 plans under it. We have the emergency relief fund, we have the portable sanitizer, or transient sanitizer plan, and then we have the, upgraded sanitary equipment. I mean, so one, just kind of break it out, you know, we're asking for $150,000 in funds, we're asking $100,000 of it for emergency relief fund for our citizens and or businesses that have been directly, our citizens and or business owners that have been directly financially impacted or will be on or before the 15th of December. Impacted by this, we're asking for $5,000 for the sanitizer, to put these sanitizer stations around town and get sanitizer refills, and then we're asking for $45,000 to do renovations on, renovations to make certain areas with high-risk communities or transient visitors more sanitary, such as, you know, touchless soap dispensers, touchless sinks, motion paper towels, such as, you know, for high-risk populations such as the senior center, such as the motorcycle museum, where there's a lot of transient people coming in and out.
And did she say that 300,000 that was left, this comes out too, of that?
No,
No,
that's,
this was-
It's already out?
it's already out.
Okay.
Already,
Okay.
she just didn't have anything from
From the school,
From
had
our
the
school.
hospital already submitted something? I
she
don't know.
didn't say, did she?
I don't know. And then the county. I don't
I
know.
thought she said there was 300,000 left.
Yeah,
There is.
300,000
But I
left.
didn't know who's all in that pool.
So that 200,000, so probably the school over Cheyenne probably asked for a pretty good chunk, and their city's asking for 70. So see, that might be almost $200,000 right there. If the school asks for 130 and the city asks for 70, there's $200,000.
And we don't know that the city didn't ask for more than 70, right? I
right,
mean,
this was their draft that I got here.
And we just know of these two things. We don't know that they didn't also ask for something else. We don't know that they didn't, I mean, did they say these are the only things we're asking for?
I'm pretty sure Bird City itself, I don't know about
Okay.
the school, but the city of Bird City, these were the 2 things Diane said that they were going
Gotcha.
with, but these were draft versions, so they hadn't decided on specific amounts and stuff when she sent this to me. They will by Friday, but I don't know. And she said she'd let me know, but
Okay, how much do we want to ask for on the emergency relief fund? To help citizens with, if they've lost their job and so forth. We triple that, that's 120,000. But I don't want to go so far that then they can't fund everything either.
Well, that's, we just don't have a clue. Like,
I
we
know.
might not even use a dime of it. So
Right.
I'd rather see us look at more invested in the sanitizing of the high highly trafficked areas, updating the bathrooms, getting stuff in place. And maybe
I don't think you have to allocate, was what it sounded like.
No,
Like,
you
I think
don't
if City of St. Francis wants to ask for
that's-
150, I just keep using that because it's a nice round number, like $150,000, and you are going to do, you know, these three things with it, I think that, I don't think you need to be super detailed, you know, say,
Not
we're-
tonight.
right, well, not by Friday either, I mean, I
Yeah,
think,
not by Friday.
yeah.
Well, and especially like, say remodeling the bathrooms up there and doing some more work on these down here. If we're waiting till almost like it gets to be about the 1st of November and we haven't used any money, okay, we can really spend some money in these two places and remodel. Get the contractors, get them scheduled and say, let's have it done. Like,
My only question on that, and let me ask Kelly, because there's different categories. There's like economic development, and we may be limited to having, you know, we may not be able to lump everything together in one request. You know, like they've got two different things here, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if we can just ask for a lump sum to
You
cover.
have 4 different categories: health, connectivity, economic development, and education.
I
Yeah,
thought there was more than that.
But there's the categories that the funds can be used in, but I mean, are you limited in any given category?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, if you say, we're requesting $150,000 of funds, we're planning on using it this way, is that,
Let me call Kelly. She would know.
well, I think if our school hasn't applied for anything, and we got way more students than they do, so that could be probably,
But they would allocate as far as if we ask for 200,000, they could say, well, we'll give them 150 and we'll cut these, you know, to
Right.
get it all.
And
done.
I'm sure if the hospital's already put in there.
My phone is not ringing through.
do you want me to try?
Yeah.
They'll touch on mental health and what they need up there with protective. Yeah, that would be better.
We do like sanitizing systems.
did she say hospitals were included in this? She didn't mention hospitals.
Yeah, they are.
They are, yeah.
They're an entity, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she said, and the Good Samaritan,
Mhm.
and.
Yeah, the Good Samaritan could be asking for
Hi
a
Kelly, this
pound,
is
too.
Lauren Ralph. The council had one more question. Actually, we had two questions for you. If you could give me a call back on my cell phone, that would be great. You can also call Lila if that's more convenient for you. Thank you. Goodbye. We'll see if she calls back.
So realistically, there's not going to be
Enough money.
enough money.
So could the assisted living up there, could they ask for funds as well?
That's what she was saying, yeah. So it could disappear real fast.
So they could
It
ask-
should disappear real fast.
They could have asked for telehealth setup up there too, couldn't they?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right, it could go quick.
There's also a lot of other, I mean, it's like you said, you know, drinking from a fire hydrant. I mean, we don't know that all of those entities are going to apply because some of those entities may have gotten grants from other programs which are available to them, and so they're leaving that money for the other, entities, or what you call them, stakeholders.
Mhm.
Lila, what's the other grant amount for, that we got?
So 173,600, and 15,000 of that goes for administrative costs. 35,000 of that is earmarked for meals, and the rest of it is for economic development, which is for businesses.
Businesses?
Mhm.
They'll apply for it.
So, did Berkshire
Meals
City
as
need
in,
money like
like-
that?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I just wondered if Berkshire City, because that's kind of what this is to help, you know, the money that we got to help businesses, correct? that were affected by COVID.
Yes, that's that other grant, yes.
But I'm just wondering, if Bird City didn't get any of that, that's why they're applying for that through.
Yeah, they did not apply for,
That might be Kelly.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, I don't know if you, can you answer it?
Yeah, let's talk off. Oh, you go.
I don't know how to use that phone.
I don't know.
Is there
Oh, I was going to hit the red button.
Try it.
Yeah, try it.
No, I'm gonna find you
All
somewhere.
right. That's one thing, I said talk.
So that leaves, what, about, how much was it total?
173.6.
It was over 100, more than that, 120 to go to businesses if they need it.
Yes, but with that grant, there are LMI restrictions. So with that one, 51% of the employees that work at the business have to be LMI, low to moderate income. This would not have that criteria because you would set
Right.
your own criteria.
But most people are making $8 to $12 an hour.
I have no idea.
So that other grant money we got, if we don't use it, we will have to give it back as well.
I would say yes.
So if we
But
have-
there is a much longer time span on that grant. It's like a year.
But I'm just wondering where, that's kind of what their emergency relief fund is, where that money is earmarked to help businesses, correct?
Well, there's a-
Businesses as
They have
opposed
to
to
shut down, or somebody goes into their business with COVID, and then they have to shut down just for individuals.
Yeah,
Right.
this is individual, that's business, so.
Right, exactly, yes.
And I think that you could do this as businesses. I mean, I think that, I mean, if that's what, the way you wanted to set it, is that if you had a business that had someone go in and then they had to be shut down, it doesn't have that restriction of whether it's whether they're LMI
I
or
don't
not.
think we want to ask for more money for businesses when we have the, you know what I'm saying?
Well, but there's that LMI restriction. So if there's a business that gets shut down who does not have the employees that are LMI, but those employees are not making anything or the business is unable to operate and they do not qualify for the other grant, you may want to make that available. I mean, you may not want to make that available to
But are
them.
you talking about the way it looks?
You know, just
Don't
like
you, ma'am?
have other, you know, instead of earmarking additional funds for that similar,
Okay.
yeah, that we should maybe,
But if we leave this emergency relief fund, just like it says utility assistance, if a business came in and says, I'm having trouble paying my utility.
and if they don't qualify for the other, they.
If they did qualify for the other, we could rob out of here and then. Or if they just rent the building. I mean, we could
Right, they're still
slide some
resident
things
and
back and
different.
forth there.
Yeah.
Isn't that LMI figured on the employees and not the employer?
Mhm. Yes.
It's figured on, right, it's figured on the employees.
So most of the people in town would be eligible for that.
I would say 90%.
I don't know that they are, because if you're, I mean, if you have one worker, I mean, it's based on household income. And so if you have one business that has their employees, but their spouses, say they're farmers and they had a good year, their AGI is going to eliminate that business from being eligible due to the spouses of the employees. It's not just looking at that one picture. It's what is the household income. It's LMI based off of household. And so it may be outside the scope of, I mean,
What was that total amount?
it's not very much.
15,000 a year or something like that?
Yeah, it's really small.
It's really small.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So basically,
Yeah.
anybody that's not on their own probably won't qualify. It's like
Right. I mean,
businesses won't
I
get
don't
any.
think, and that was what I was looking,
Um,
I don't know that I can pull it up.
And the other thing, Lila, is as a president of the Ministerial Alliance, I get calls all the time. I got one today of a young lady called and said come August 10th that they must behind in the rent. They're going to be evicted. Problem is, I just don't know if that's COVID related. And so, you know, you can't, I can't in good conscience
Yeah.
turn that in, you know.
Mhm.
They'd have to prove it.
Yeah. And it also bothers me, if they wait so long to call, I'm like, why would you wait 3 months before you call it?
Yeah.
Is it based off of the housing?
What?
Was it based off of the housing? The calculation for the LMI?
Oh,
Was it based
yeah.
off of the housing
I think so,
calculations?
yeah.
Well, what's everybody thinking on an amount? Make two different, separate, one for relief and then one for,
We could do, tonight, if you wanted to, if you're thinking about lumping it all together, you could make that decision, and then if she says, no, you can't do that, then also make a decision, if she says that, what you want me to split it out. Then we
Yeah,
have
what
it
you-
covered both ways.
okay.
I think we need to be updating the bathrooms and hand sanitizing and using public, you know,
Any place where,
in place of
I think that
City Hall.
120 is almost, we'll never spend it.
what's that?
You were talking about 120 earlier?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just don't
That's
know.
fine, if we gotta give it back, we give it back.
Yeah.
I just think
Yeah.
if you look into
Hopefully
automated
just give it back.
paper towel dispensers,
Right.
sinks,
Ye-
toilets, you could use that up in a hurry, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you really could, if,
Bathrooms
What
are
about automated
expensive.
doors?
yeah.
Do we have anywhere in town that would?
But if you at least, if you couldn't do the stools, you
At
know,
least the paper
the
towels.
paper towels and the hand washers, I mean, or, you know, wash your
Hand
hands,
sanitizers,
automatic, so
yeah.
they're not touching that, I mean, at that point,
If you've got
you
like
should
the
be
theater, the
clean to
museums.
go out.
Right now, there's
The
nothing in those
bathrooms.
restrooms up there to even dry their hands.
Yeah.
All there is water, nothing else, there's no soap, there's nothing.
I
Really?
think
So
we
it's-
could update, yeah, we could at least get something up there
Yeah,
to help.
there's nothing up there.
Hand sanitizer and paper
It-
towel
it's kinda
dispensers,
sad.
and, yeah, soap dispensers,
Same thing over here, there's nothing to
yeah,
dry your hands with or,
Really?
yeah. I like that, and even, you know, the portable hand sanitizers for concerts in the park, that kind of stuff, that when we have events that we can, car show or something, that we can put them out. We don't have to leave them out year round, but we have them for events that we have in the parks and whatnot.
Yeah,
Be
I
nice to have
think
one
we
here in
could-
City Hall, the front,
Yeah.
customers.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes.
And waving them back here for people that visit as they're going out the door, you know.
Yeah,
More
so
so
we're
out
gonna have
front,
court
but,
here.
yeah.
Court should
Yeah,
probably-
with the court being back here, having a sanitizer back here as well.
So if they okay that, I mean, we could right away start figuring out how many of those we need to get ordered and get them coming, and, because those things, if we can get them, would be something, a quick fix. I mean, we could spend that money quick. The bathrooms, if we remodel them, it's gonna take a little bit longer and stuff, but some of this we could spend quick and some of it we can't. I mean, we'd wanna wait a little bit, but
Let me throw this out here, because let's just take that $120,000 figure you're talking about. If you apply that for that and they don't allocate that, based on all the other entities that are doing it, would it be more realistic to ask for $40,000, $50,000, and split it up into a couple different categories to where at least you'd have a shot at one or the other? I don't know. I mean, I can't even imagine that there'd be 120,000 available for just us. I just have a real hard time with all of the entities that are out there that are going to be applying.
And it's possible that, I don't know, but I would think that they would have the option of funding less than you've asked for.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I'm getting at, is could they drop that?
I
but
would imagine they could.
like Bird City's 40 and 30, if it gets tight, I can see them saying, we're gonna give you this 40, but we're not gonna do this one.
Or we'll give you 20
Yeah,
and
why don't we
15.
just ask for 120, and then in one lump sum, we can divide it out however, and then we can also say, well, if it doesn't work, we'll do 80 and, 40.
Or if there's more.
Or 90 and 40.
If somebody else doesn't apply, we'll take.
Yeah, hopefully we're not
Here's
gonna
our-
spend any of it, except for bathroom updates and sanitization and
Sanitizers,
stuff.
yeah.
So if we agree to go for 120 and put it in one deal, and if they say, no, we can't, then we could go 80-40 or something, or
And
60-60, I don't, whatever we want to do. I think either way, I mean, we're gonna, if they would fund it all, we're gonna have to work at getting it spent, because hopefully, things stay the same as...
Figure, we've got the theater bathrooms, the library bathrooms, roadside park, 2 bathrooms up there, the bathroom down here. If we looked into just hand sanitizer, paper towel dispensers, soap dispensers.
Courthouse need upgraded?
Courthouse is county.
Oh, that's right.
Then you'd have City Hall, the pool. I mean, if you start looking at upgrading all those bathrooms, and then if there's money left over, you start looking at, you know, touchless toilets, or, you know, I mean, I think you could easily get that utilized in bathroom updates.
Oh, yeah, it'd go fast if we started.
I mean, I'd start with the hand
Right.
sanitizer and paper towels and soap dispensers, and get portable sanitizer for things in the park, roadside park, and then that kind of stuff that we've had. And then, like I said, go from there.
Citizens are going to want to, I would think that they may, and I mentioned this to Scott, if you're talking about doing the citizen relief fund, the emergency relief fund, I think that is appealing to our citizens, that, you know, we want to help in that way, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we're looking out for their welfare.
And this,
I agree,
this
too.
other
Well,
grant,
there's an opportunity.
sounds like it's got possibly a lot of red tape involved.
It's a CDBG grant.
Right, so what if we, maybe you go ahead and use some of these funds for those businesses that had to shut down, number one, and then any other places that might need it, that obviously lost income from it.
They still have to apply though.
Yeah, but it won't be a whole bunch of red tape that CDBG.
The LMI
right,
stuff you're
LMI
talking
stuff.
about.
It'd be criteria that we set, right,
Mm.
to get the money.
Mhm.
Can't believe that administration fees.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They always get their share.
Somebody else may squeeze out a little bit.
But it's worth every dime.
Oh, it
Oh,
is.
my goodness.
It is. Definitely, but yeah.
Okay, do we want to lump it into one or have 2 separate ones?
Which we don't know if we can lump it or not.
I don't know, so,
Is she at the pool?
yeah, I think so.
Do
Yeah,
you
can we
want me
just
to go to the pool?
Give her 2
Right.
options. We can do
I mean,
that.
can I just,
Yeah, she said, I'll just be up the block if you need anything.
okay, I'll
You want to just walk out there?
I'll just walk up there and I'll report
sure.
back.
Okay.
Might just be
Questions that I'm
third
taking
party.
are...
I think it is what she said.
Questions that I'm taking are, is there a limit per category, right?
Mhm. Do
Has,
we need to allocate them separately?
do we need,
Lump
okay.
sum.
Can we amend the plan if the answer is we need to allocate right now? And then one of the other questions was, has the hospital applied yet? But do we want to ask, I mean, the hospital might not apply, and I don't know if we want to tailor our, I don't know if the council wants to tailor their application around other entities that may or may not apply or may not be eligible for other grants that the city is not eligible for.
And one good thing about the Good Samaritan and assisted living, all that, it's been totally remodeled. It's all new. So they're not going to go in there and tear out and do anything different
Right.
on that. I mean, they might want some extra hand sanitizers, those kind of things, but I don't see them asking for $200,000 up there. They might be $50,000 for odds and ends things, but that's new up there, so. And the hospital's in pretty good shape too, so I think if they would be asking to do these small things that maybe, you know, have hand sanitizers at the door, so everybody, you know, just making sure. But we don't know what they're gonna ask for, so.
Do I have any other questions? Does anyone have any other questions they want me to ask Kelly while I'm up there? Okay. I'll report back. If I call the city phone, will it ring in here?
It will, but we don't know how to
answer
answer
it.
it.
Just call my cell phone, I'll put you on speaker.
Okay.
I need to figure that out, though, because I think Justine is, I don't think she's going to come to our meeting Monday, but she wants to talk to you guys about the other grant.
Is this the same one?
Yeah, and like those hand sanitizers, portable ones, if we had extra of those, and then like, when they have these concerts at the park and stuff, it'd be nice to have them sitting around there that people could use them. They won't be there by that time, Laurie.
How many do you think we'd need for something like that?
Well, you know, if we had a half a dozen just extra ones that you could take to different events, you know, like that, take all 6 of them up there. If they do the car show up there next year and we still have this same thing going on, I hope not, take them up there. I mean, you could have like a half a dozen you could take to different things.
Especially if they're refillable.
Special
Yeah.
events that, yeah.
And if the bathrooms had them,
Yeah.
you know, sanitizer in there.
Yeah. Those we can mount on the wall. And I know there's been vandalism before, but I drove through there yesterday morning at 4:30, and there was 2 motorcycle guys up there in their tents, so they was probably using the restroom, and I kind of feel bad about it when that's not much up there. And the thing is, it's wide open too. And the guys will get by with that a lot better than women, but you walk in there and there's the stool and it's wide open to everybody to see you sitting there.
There's no doors?
No doors. The doors got tore off probably 40 years ago, probably, and never been put back on. I think what I would suggest there is just putting a rod there, get curtains, and just replace curtains when they get tore down or worn out or whatever, just use curtains.
There's not ones in the park. And the curtains on there.
There's nothing in these either.
What one's curtains?
There used to be curtains, I think, but there's no curtains there anymore either. And
Theater used to have curtains. They still do.
The one bathroom in the center, they were standalone, but, you know, it's just 2 on one side, and one on the other.
Yeah, I don't think there used to be curtains, I don't think there's any.
I know there's no curtains on any of them anymore, over here or up there. Up there used to be doors. When that was new back in the early 60s, that was a nice place up there.
Can't even use the bathrooms at the band show anymore.
Somebody did once.
I know. Those bathrooms.
They don't flush, folks, don't use them.
Clear back into probably the 40s or something.
Well, I think they probably, I don't know when they quit using them things, but. Well, have fun answering all the stuff on fogging the streets coming Friday. Here we go.
Oh, we've had,
It's already started.
I already had Dave
Yeah.
right in the shop today, bitching about having the street closed temporarily.
For 2 hours, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. And if we didn't do it now, JR said we pushed back to October.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said,
2
well, can't
hours.
it just wait till after the fair? Well, it'll be October. Well, then if it starts being wet weather in October, then you can't do it, and then you might be into next year, so.
Another year, there's going to be,
And I'm sure
Back into
JR would have never
the
okayed
fair.
that if we was gonna have the carnival and everything open and everything's gonna be going, but where it was just gonna be the livestock down there and stuff, let's get it done.
The music was really loud at the pool, that's why I didn't call.
Okay. What'd you find out?
Okay, so there is not a limit per category. We can do whatever we want, in whatever category we want. Do we need to allocate it now? The answer is no. Can we amend the application if we need to reallocate where we've put the funds? So if we apply for 120, we get 120, we say we're doing 80 for this, 40 for that, and then we get to November and we've not spent the 80, we can amend and move it over and do something else. She said, yes, we can do that. I asked, and then I added the question, I thought of it while I was there. If we apply for 120 and you have applications for, 600,000, are you just going to pick which ones and deny some of them, or are you looking at reducing them? And she said they would reduce, not deny. So we can apply for whatever we want with the understanding that if they're overextended, they may reduce. And they may reduce somebody else. She does not know how they're going to do it, but they're not just going to say, nope, we're out of funds, you're done.
Then 120, just ask for 120.
So you're going to have to be a little bit more specific about what you're actually going to do with that money?
A little bit, yes. We gotta have a plan.
The emergency relief fund and
Upgrades?
and upgrades on public,
All our public facilities.
public facilities, restrooms, sanitizers, so
And
forth.
we don't even have to put the parameters on it yet.
Right.
No.
But yeah, I'd say
Updates on public,
sanitize, city public
Right.
properties with hand sanitizing
And some of them aren't public properties that you were talking about, though, because the museum's not a public property, but it's, and neither
city
is...
owns the building.
City.
That's true, we do. What about the museum up there? Do we own that?
No, that's the county's.
Well, no, wait a minute. The city owns the land, but the county owns the building, and the historical society
Leases it,
Yeah,
that's right.
You know, get them all in there.
Go figure.
And down here.
This is why we have the
That's a
street
museum.
problem.
I think all we would need, we've already got the motion help deals, but it would be nice to have the the sanitizer deals right there by the front door and maybe one in each bathroom. That's probably all we would need.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't be a whole lot down there.
At the library,
Like
and I
the
think the
theater,
senior center
pool.
is
Right.
Senior center's not,
And so we just need
owned
to
by us,
put
but,
those
I
things.
know.
Yeah, could we do touchless both at the senior center,
See, the senior
seats
center.
and sinks?
We don't own that building.
So that's why I'm wondering, do you want to make it strictly for the city, or do you want to make it a little broader?
Can we just say, like,
Public places.
Why not?
high-trafficked public places,
For high risk.
bathrooms?
I don't think you even need to say high risk. I think you can
No.
just say high traffic.
High traffic,
public-
I mean, to
Public.
protect
High traffic,
the
public use.
citizens of the city of St. Francis.
We for sure want all of our, library,
Yeah.
pool, theater,
Mhm.
bathrooms.
But city-owned and public.
But then
Right.
we could hit the museum up there, and the museum down here, senior center, because the city doesn't own the parks, the county does, but the city
Yeah.
leases them, so
Yeah.
if we wanted to do the portable ones for events in the park, I mean,
Yeah.
we don't actually own the property, but we lease it, so.
What about the phrasing, specified high-traffic area within city limits and/or city-owned property?
Yes, that works.
Then that opens it up.
Yeah.
The theater,
If you
that's-
want to shoot me that over via email, and
It
I'll
is
take a
gonna be
look
hard to
and
do
maybe
everything
redline it, or we can work
Together,
on it
we
together.
could get
yeah.
it together,
If
yeah.
we can improve it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
improve
I
it.
have a meeting, so my schedule's
Some
kind of
things
nuts,
we need
but
to
we
totally
can.
remodel.
As
and
is
improve
mine.
I'm
it.
sure
We
it
can
is.
at least get paper towels.
But-
Yeah, because
I'm sure it is in the
Hand
meeting.
sanitizer, let's start there.
it's pretty bad,
We'll talk
we're-
after the meeting.
and like the guys that pitch a tent up there, they might not even put any money in the deal, but if somebody pulls up there at the RV park and they hook up for electricity and they put some money in there and they go in the bathrooms and we don't have paper towels there, we don't have, it's kind of sad that we need to do some work on some things. It's too bad that we're trying to use this to work on stuff that we need to work on, but
At least it gives us,
yeah. Okay, well,
Does that mean
let's,
there's also no toilet paper in the bathrooms?
What's
No,
that?
there's gotta be toilet paper.
There's toilet paper up there, but that's it.
No, it's Indian style.
Bucket of water.
Power button on the side.
Or they're supposed to check that all the time.
That's all you gotta do.
Yep, hit it and then it'll say power off.
Okay, we'll go for that then.
Lauren and I will work together on putting it
Okay.
so it's worded good. and We'll send it out to everybody and
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Wait, did we make a motion and vote on that's the amount that we're requesting?
probably ought to.
I guess we probably should. Okay.
I'm like, hold on, I don't think we're actually approved to submit this proposal.
Yeah. Do I hear a motion to approve to go for funding of $120,000?
Cal, I'll second.
Okay.
First and second right there.
Kale,
Okay.
Darren seconded. All in favor?
There's my cricket sound.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
No move.
Amanda? Second by Larry. All in favor? Lee?
Hallelujah. It's like Rogers winning the
Oh, was there anything up there when I looked?
primary.